Okay, I'm going to try this again. Now, first of all, I want to apologize because I'm not entirely focused on this video. I'm driving right now, so I apologize for the ambient noise. I apologize for how my voice might sound. I apologize for the fact that I'm not really, looking at the camera or really paying attention to anything other than the road at this point, which is kind of bullshit, but that's neither here nor there. I wanted to address something that had sort of came up in the comments of the last video that I posted to YouTube like 3 years ago. I mean, at least the last commentary video. And I wanted to talk about the difference between race and ethnicity. And, I kind of held off on doing this for a very, very long time, mostly because I was actually very, very pleased with some of the positive and very, very, supportive, or I guess, comments that were left on my page. But also because I didn't feel the need to engage trolls, but you know what? So what? I'm a troll feeder. Okay, it's kind of the nature of the internet. I can't lie, and I can't run from it. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about the difference between race and ethnicity. Now, I want to preface this by saying, look, I'm going to be speaking for maybe 3.5, 4 minutes. I'm not going to be speaking for a very long time, so don't expect a comprehensive dissertation on absolutely everything that has to do with race and or ethnicity. I freely admit that this is completely and utterly off the cuff. This is not scripted. Well, it's not scripted any more than, I've practiced this speech by having to fucking say it so many fucking times to so many fucking stupid people, but that's neither here nor yon. And I'm trying to think of anything else. Let me see. I'm not going off a script. This is not really rehearsed. Yeah, that's about it. Okay, so I want to talk about the difference between race and ethnicity. Now, ethnicity is something that is pretty ironclad. You can't really change your ethnicity. You can't transition between ethnic groups. Ethnicity is where your blood comes from. Ethnicity is basically where your origins come from. Alright, so we'll use me as an example. My mother is a white American. My mother's blood comes from Germany, Scotland, Ireland, and we think England. So, that's my mother's ethnicity. That's where she comes from. So I have a white parent. I also have a black parent. My father is black. My father calls himself African American, even if I don't necessarily call him African American. So we'll use his terminology for the sake of argument, and we'll call my dad an African American. Basically, what my dad means when he says he's an African American is that he's a dark-skinned American of West African descent. We've pretty much narrowed it down. It's probably the Ivory Coast, Mali, Senegal, someplace near there. Okay, so my dad is a black American. All right, my mom is a white American. That's where So, ergo, my ethnic identity, my ethnicity is that I am ethnically of German, Scots, British, Irish, and ambiguous West African descent. That's my ethnicity. I've never run from that. I've never pretended to be not proud of that or whatever. I've never denied that. It's impossible to do. If you read hard enough, that's pretty much what you're going to find. I think it would be disingenuous to suggest that I have intimated anything to the contrary. Now, the issue that comes up is that is when you talk about the difference between ethnicity and race. Now, race is something completely different, whereas ethnicity is basically the sum of the groups to which you undeniably fall into, like biologically or scientifically. That's ethnicity. Race is the category into which either you place yourself or someone else places you, or someone's, I guess, a collective places you. Essentially, race is a social construct. Race is your social identity. Race is your social, it's your social identity, your social identification. So, it's the reason why I always get really, really, really irritated when somebody will try to say, when I criticize white society, to say, well, you're half white. And I'm like, well, and the only response that I have to that is, no, I'm not half white. I'm not half anything. I've never claimed to be anything other than proud of my ethnicity, but my social experience in this country has been that of a black male. I'm a black person. If you look at me, you see a black person. You don't see a half white person. And by extension, when you hear me, you don't hear a half-white person, you hear a black person. So, I think the very discussion, or the very suggestion that I am half-white, I'm sorry, I'm spitting everywhere, the very suggestion that I'm half-white is racist in and of itself. One, because, you know what, if I were half white, then shit, if I were half white, if I could somehow get half white privilege, that'd be great, but unfortunately that hasn't been the case. Two, you know, again, usually it's white people that try to call me half white, and, you know, usually it's white people trying to call me half white because they're really, really, really uncomfortable with a black person being more intelligent than they are, which is fine. I mean, that's actually generally expected. It's something that my father encountered, and, you know, I mean, it's something that I will probably continue to encounter. I mean, the only reason why I mention all of this is that it's really, really, I find it extraordinarily offensive when someone tries to say, oh, well, you're half white. I'm like, well, no, not really, because if I were half white, there'd be a whole bunch of shit I could get away with that unfortunately I can't. So, you know, I mean, until you start throwing some of that white privilege my way, I'm going to continue to call myself black, because that's pretty much what I'm going to be if I fuck your girlfriend or your sister or your mother or steal your car. All right? So hopefully this puts the issue to rest. If it doesn't, eat a sack full of dicks. Talk to you later.